Hi, I'm Mark Hope, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to play Terrible Influence. Terrible Influence is a comedic board game for 2 to 5 players ages 17 and up. It's all about getting as rich, famous, and powerful as you possibly can, no matter what terrible things you have to do along the way. So, it's pretty much like real life, unfortunately. When you first set up the game, connect the 4 pieces of the game board together and place it in the center of the table. Then shuffle all the decks and place the Influence, Fame, and Power decks next to those sections on the game board. Then place the Scandal and Candidate decks at the top of your game board. Each player picks a color, then gets a game board, a player pawn, and 4 tracking tokens in that color. For this tutorial, we'll set up the game as if we have 3 players. Each player places their player pawn at the start level of the social ladder. Then they take their tracking tokens and put 1 at the 0 of the fan track and 1 at the 0 of the money track. Each player should have 2 remaining tracking tokens, which they can just keep in the extra player tokens section of their player board. Next, each player is going to be choosing a class card. Your class card is basically the beginning of the character you're going to be playing as throughout the game. There are 5 different classes in the standard edition, and each one has its own unique bonus or ability to help you win the game. For example, if you're a podcaster class, then you gain $1 million each turn. Or if you play as a game streamer, then each turn you have the opportunity to discard 1 to 2 cards and earn 2 million fans for each card you discard. This includes cards from your hand or cards that are equipped to you, but we'll discuss equipping cards to you a little later in this video. If you choose the Reality TV Star class, you actually get to start the game with $3 million and 4 million fans. Plus, you get to move up 2 levels on the social ladder. So, a big head start at the beginning of the game, but that class doesn't offer you any continued bonuses throughout the game like other classes do. Once you've chosen your class, place it face up in that section of your player board. At the start of the game, each player draws 2 cards from the Influence deck into their hand. If a player happens to draw any red cancel cards, then they can draw a replacement card and shuffle the cancel card back into the Influence deck. So let's face it, you're not important enough to be canceled yet. Don't show your cards in your hand to any of the other players in the game. And with that, you're all set. That's how you set up Terrible Influence. Players start as wannabe influencers with no fame, money, or talent whatsoever. But as they start to climb the social ladder through the levels of influence, fame, and power, they'll gain skills, advantages, and revenue streams that'll generate millions of fans and dollars for them along the way. The best part about Terrible Influence, though, is it's very easy to play if it's your first time. Each turn just has 4 actions that players have to do in order, and those actions are actually listed on your player board so you can easily know what you need to do each time it's your turn. You'll also have something to point at when you're yelling at other players for doing things out of order. Action 1 is moving your player pawn up 1 level on the social ladder. Action 2 is to collect any turn bonuses you may get from your class cards or any equipped cards you have. Now, we'll talk about equipping cards in a little bit, but all you need to know here is that if your class or any equipped cards have a turn bonus, you would collect them at this point every turn. So for example, the Vlogger class has a turn bonus of gaining 1 million fans. Action 3 is players get to play cards from their hand. You can play as many or as little cards as you'd like each turn, so you may play all the cards in your hand or you may play none. It's entirely up to you. The last and final action each turn is to just draw 2 cards. Whenever a player is drawing cards, they always draw from the deck that corresponds to the section of the social ladder that they're on. So at the beginning of the game, everyone's going to be drawing from the Influence deck, but as players move into the Fame and Power sections, they'll begin drawing cards from those decks. Once you've drawn 2 cards, that's the end of your turn, and it's on to the next player. It's important to note, though, you can only have 5 cards in your hand at the end of your turn. So if you end up with more than 5 when you draw 2, you are going to have to discard 1 or 2 cards from your hand until you get down to 5. So you only start your next turn with 5 cards. And that's basically the fundamental basics of playing Terrible Influence. You move up a level, you collect the bonuses from cards that you have, you play cards that are in your hand, and then you draw 2 more. Pretty simple, right? Throughout the game, you're going to be trying to make your way up the social ladder. You'll be able to do that by moving at the beginning of each turn, as well as getting a movement bonus from some of the cards you may play throughout the game. To move from one section of the social ladder to the next, you do have to meet a resource requirement. So to go from the influence section into the fame section, you have to have at least 7 million fans. And then to go from the fame section finally into the power section, you have to have at least $12 million. If you don't have the resources you need to move into the next section, then instead of moving up a level, all of your movement bonuses just turn into 1 million of the resource you need. So if I'm at the very top level of influence and I need to move into fame, but I only have 6 million fans, well, at the beginning of my turn, instead of moving up one level, I'm actually going to gain 1 million fans. Now I have 7 million fans. The next time I get to move, I'll move into fame and progress further into the game. Money and fans in the game are represented by these two symbols. This represents 1 million fans and 1 level on the fan track, and this represents $1 million and 1 level on the money track. So for example, my vlogger class shows that when I collect my turn bonus, I gain 1 million fans. So to keep track of that, I move 1 level on the fan tracker. One type of card that you'll draw and play throughout the game are cards that you can actually equip to your character for continued benefits throughout the game. These are going to be skills, advantages, and revenue cards. You equip cards by playing them from your hand and placing them next to the specified slot on your player board. As you can see, you only have room for 2 skills, 2 advantages, and 2 revenue cards at a time. Equipable cards have a variety of rewards that can help you win the game. The most common is a turn bonus. This is a reward you get when you first equip the card, as well as each turn for the rest of the game as long as you have that card equipped. So for example, if I was this player, at the start of my turn, my first action would be to move up 1 level, then I would collect my turn bonuses. So that's 1 million fans from my class and 2 million fans from being a brilliant marketer. So I get all those rewards every single turn now because of the cards that I have equipped to that player. So you can see how equipable cards can be very powerful in this game. Some cards might have an equip bonus. These are one-time bonuses you only collect when you first equip your card. So if I was to equip the advantage card part of a squad, I collect my turn bonus of 1 million fans, but I also get a one-time equip bonus to move up 1 level on the social ladder. If a card has an option bonus, it means exactly that. It's optional. For example, if you equip the sponsorship deal revenue card, you get a turn bonus of $1 million. But you have the option to earn $2 million each turn if you actually say a 15-second ad for the company listed on the card. So if you want, you could earn double money every single turn by doing another 15-second ad for your sponsor. So that's equipable cards: skills, advantages, and revenue. The second type of card you can get in this game are single-use cards. All single-use cards are orange and are either viral cards, which give you a one-time bonus, spike cards, which can be used to attack other players, or defense cards that can be used to defend you from attacks or from cancel cards, which we'll talk about soon. To play these cards from your hand, you simply lay it down in front of you face up so that all other players can see it. If you're playing a viral card like Act in a Movie, you gain $1 million, 1 million fans, and you move up 2 levels. You also have the option to earn another $1 million and another 1 million fans if you act out your 2 lines from the movie and describe how you died. Then, after you've collected your rewards, you just discard the card to a discard pile. Spike cards let you attack other players. So if I played the copycat card, I'm allowed to steal an advantage or skill card that's equipped to another player and then equip it to myself. Then I just discard the copycat card. Some spike cards can actually attach to other players and do continual damage throughout the game. For example, the Start a Rumor card gets placed over the advantage card of another player. Then that player has to roll a die at the start of each turn, and if they don't roll a 5 or a 6, they can't use that advantage on that turn. Once they do roll a 5 or a 6, they can finally discard the spike card. Defense cards can get you out of trouble if you're dealing with a spike card or a cancel card. And because you'll only ever be dealing with a spike card when it's somebody else is playing it during their turn, defense cards can be played out of turn. In fact, any card in the game that has this little star in the top left corner means that that card can be played out of turn because it's most likely triggered by something else happening in the game. Let's say somebody plays the spike card Secret Recording against me. If I have a defense card in my hand, I can block it. Luckily, I have Apology Video, which allows me to roll dice and possibly get rid of that spike card. So we've talked about equipable cards and we've talked about single-use cards. The last type of card you may end up drawing in this game are cancel cards. Cancel cards are red cards that result in you getting some sort of punishment for a terrible thing you did. If you draw a cancel card, it doesn't go into your hand. You have to immediately place it on the table face up for everyone to see and resolve it before you can continue. So if I'm drawing 2 cards at the end of my turn and I happen to draw Attack of the Karens, I have to deal with it immediately. I can either play a defense card if I have one, or it looks like I'm going to have to move down 1 level. Once I've resolved the cancel card, I can discard it and draw a new card from the deck the cancel card came from. You always replace the cancel card with a new card so that at the end of each turn, every player is always getting 2 new cards into their hand. You can only get 1 cancel card per turn, so if you are really unlucky and happen to draw 2 cancel cards in a row, you only have to deal with the first one. The second cancel card you can shuffle back into the deck, resolve the cancel card that you first drew, discard that, and now draw 2 new cards from that deck into your hand. As you're playing the game, you might end up in situations where maybe you're gaining a lot of fans, but you don't have a lot of money, or maybe you're way behind on the social ladder. Well, in those cases, you may want to exchange certain resources for others. And as you can see right on your player board, there are several exchange rates you can use in the game. You can exchange 2 million fans for $1 million, or if you don't want to give up your fans, you could also discard 2 cards from your hand or equip to you for $3 million. You can give up fans to move up the social ladder, or you could slide back a level and earn 3 million fans. You can see all the exchange options on your player board, and you're allowed to use exchange rates at any time in the game, even when it's not your turn. You may notice that your class card also has an exchange rate listed at the bottom. This is a special exchange rate that is just for that class. It's typically a slightly better rate than the game's normal exchanges. The last thing you need to know to play Terrible Influence is how to win. Well, after you've climbed the social ladder and you've gained as many fans, as much money as you possibly can, you can finally win the game by taking all of your fame, wealth, and power and becoming president. And you do this by winning the final campaign. The final campaign is like a little mini game that a player triggers to finally win the game. And here's how it works. Once a player has moved into the final campaign section, their turn is over and the final campaign is about to begin. Before it does though, all other players have the option to also move up into the final campaign section using exchange rates. Once everyone has moved into the final campaign that wants to, they each draw a scandal card, starting with the person who triggered the campaign. Scandal cards will give you some kind of punishment. Maybe you'll lose money from a tax evasion scandal, or you could lose fans when they find out you have a second family. You could even get kicked out of the campaign entirely by having to move down 2 levels when you got sent to rehab. After all the players in the campaign have resolved their scandal cards, the player that triggered the campaign draws 1 candidate card. In order to win the game, you have to beat the candidate card by having more fans and more money than they do. So for example, if you are running against Kylie Shenanigan, you need to have at least $5 million and 25 million fans. If one player has more fans and more money than the candidate, then they win the game and become president. If more than one player can defeat the candidate card, then the person who has the highest total number of fans and money combined becomes president. If no one can defeat the candidate card, then no one becomes president and the game is not over yet. Anyone in the campaign gets moved back down to the highest level of power, the candidate card that was drawn gets discarded, and the person who triggered the campaign, their turn is still officially over and you go to the next person's turn. Once somebody enters the campaign section again, you repeat the steps until somebody becomes president. Now, a fun last little bit of strategy when it comes to finishing this game is, once you reach the last level of power, you don't have to move up into the final campaign section if you're not ready. In fact, you can now exchange movement for either 3 million fans or $3 million. So if you get to the top of the social ladder, but you're not sure you have enough to beat the candidate, you can wait there and just start collecting a lot of money or a lot of fans until you're finally ready to go for it. And that's how you play Terrible Influence. If you have any questions or you run into a situation that you're not quite sure what to do, you can probably find your answer in the official Terrible Influence rulebook. There's even a great little section called What If, which has very unique scenarios or things that could happen in the game after you've played several times that might just be the exact answer you're looking for. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a great time playing Terrible Influence.